Good day, everyone, and happy solar eclipse event. I don't really get what all the fuss is about, but if you want to go sit in traffic for hours, drive to Vermont, and stare at the sky for 2 minutes, and it puts a smile on your face, I say go for it. It's quite obvious to the most casual observer, I haven't made a video in a while. There's 3 reasons for that. So I'm going to discuss now. So if you don't want to talkie, just scroll ahead. First reason, have you ever had a back spasm so bad? Let's back the wheelchair up for a minute. Back spasm is shouldn't be the correct terminology. It should be like full body paralysis caused by lower spine nerve impingement. That should be a better way to say it.
Done broke my spine.
Have you ever had this happen to you where, you already have a bad back? I'm sure 90% of the people watching this video already have a bad lower back. I've had multiple doctors say, we should never walk on 2 legs. The lower back is it's a flaw. It's an engineering flaw in my mind, along with the skin. It's just too weak. Doesn't hold up. Wears out too quick. You know what I mean? But have you ever had one so bad where, you just move that 1 millimeter and you get that, I call it shockers, where you just get that sharp pain and then that's it. You can't move. That's it. Paralyzed. You try and move and it's excruciating pain. Well, I've had many of these, and I had one a while ago, and it was like 3.5 weeks till I got full range of motion back. I'm sure you know the drill. Just trying to get in and out of bed is excruciating. Muscle relaxers, Tylenol. I'm sure you know the drill. Yeah, that was first reason. The back went out, and it's gone out many times. My first bout of back problems was back in 2002. I had just bought a 2001 Ford F350 for work. I was doing the carpenter thing. And I was driving the truck for like a month, and I'm driving and I have this pain going down my right side glute and down my leg, and I'm like, wow, my body really doesn't like the seat of this truck. Now before that, I hadn't had any lower back issues and hadn't known anyone with lower back issues, so I didn't know what was going on. I explained to a friend. They said, look up chiropractic, and I did. I went to the Yellow Pages, and for you younger folk, Yellow Pages was something that was delivered to your house, and you could look up phone numbers in this book of all businesses and private addresses. So I don't believe they have them anymore. Let me know in the comments if they do. I'm going to say no. But yeah, I looked in the Yellow Pages, looked up a chiropractor, and every symptom I had was under that chiropractic advertisement. So I started to do chiropractic, and then stopped because they didn't take the new insurance I had. And long story short, 2008, finally had an MRI, herniated and or ruptured L4, L5 disc. They wanted to do surgery. Everyone in the world told me not to, including doctors. And I had known people personally who had lower back surgery and were now worse off. Fast forward to now, and I've just dealt with it. I've been through 4 different chiropractors. I've had the spinal injections, and I've done, what else? Acupuncture. I tried that, and it was all just very temporary. I think chiropractic is basically a scam at this point. They got me for thousands of dollars.
Sucker.
Oh boy. But yeah, I've never got any long-term relief from any of those. And I have my good weeks and I have my bad weeks. And so for 3.5 weeks, they were very bad. So there's that part of it. Second part was I also deal with bowel obstruction due to, well, now it's due to scar tissue buildup from past surgeries. 1996, I was having severe pain, abdominal pain, and long story short, it was a bowel obstruction due to Crohn's disease. They immediately put me to surgery. I had a resection. Was good for about 2 years, and then same thing happened and had another resection, I guess due to necrosis. Part of my bowel died. So yeah, just fast forward till now, and I've had hundreds of bowel obstruction. I've had doctors tell me it's Crohn's. I've had doctors tell me no, it's scar tissue. And recently, very recently, I had another bowel obstruction. And if you have any experience with this or know anyone who has experience with this, believe me, I feel your pain, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I wouldn't wish the pain of a bowel obstruction on my worst enemy. Fun fact, you could cut the bowel in half, small intestine, large intestine, either one, and you wouldn't feel it. But you add pressure to an intestine, and you're screaming in pain for hours. And again, if you know what I'm talking about, you know the cure for a bowel obstruction is an NG tube, which is a tube up the nose, down the throat. Well, what's fun about that is they have to get by the gag reflex. So they give you a cup of water to sip as they're jamming the tube down, and you end up throwing up on yourself. And it's a living hell on earth. Again, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But yeah, so I've been dealing with those as well. Got all sorts of appointments to go to for the back, for the intestines. So that's fun. And the third reason why I haven't made a video in a while is a lack of money. We were just out of extra money to continue on the truck behind me here, and we did sell the CR250 finally. Unfortunately, we took a bit of a loss, but yeah, we sold it to a guy named Chris off it. We had to do an eBay auction, so now that I think about that, eBay cost me money too, so we probably took about a $450 hit, which I wasn't happy about, but live and learn, right? My first nut and bolt build, it was super fun. Chris was a super nice guy, and I really hope he's enjoying the bike now and whipping it around on this beautiful day. So yeah, there's all of that. But we did sell the CR, and we're here. We're gonna work on the truck today. I'm not looking for a pity party. I'm more looking for your feedback. If you have lower back, experience with issues, and Crohn's, colitis, diverticulitis, they're all in the same group, and had surgery. Would you do surgery again? What are you doing for treatment? Are you doing the biologic? If you have it, I'd love to hear your story regarding those two health issues. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know your experience. I'll get back to you. I'd love to hear it. Sometimes it's good to talk about it and just let it all out, because pain can. My grandfather always said, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, right? It's so true. So let's dive headfirst into today's project. Oh, Liquid Death. Highly recommend it. Did you know that the best vessel for the environment is recycled aluminum? True story, look it up. And these are recycled aluminum cans. I will admit, being an ex-beer drinker, drinking water out of a can was weird at first, but now I really enjoy it. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm super picky about my water, and it's extremely good. It just tastes like clean mountain water, just what it says. Ah, damn, that's good.
Thirst quenched.
I don't like certain waters. My worst water flavor, Evian. You ever had that one? It's soft. It has a soft feeling, like cushion in your mouth. It's not for me, not for me. But this one, very good. Not a sponsor, but if you want to be, call me up. I mean, good water. Highly recommend. So on today's menu, this is what we got going on. Yep. So we picked up a new blower motor. Was not easy to get. Apparently there's a difference between factory AC and no AC. You can get ones with factory AC all day long. No AC was tough to get locally, I guess. I did see some options on Parts Geek, but I finally, after O'Reilly's and AutoZone, just happened to stop into a CarQuest, and they had one. So here it is, and they had it the same day. And you also get an upgraded steel, we call them hamster wheels, I don't know what you call it, let me know in the comments, so the rats can't do this again. So yeah, so we get that to do. They also had a blower motor resistor and rewiring if you need it. plug if you need it. And we also picked up a fuel line return kit. If you saw the last video, we had a leak, which are super common with these. This is from Diesel Logic out of Florida. I know nothing about the company. O'Reilly's did not even have a listing for a fuel line return kit. I did not try anywhere else. This is the first one that popped up on the old internet, and it was 50 bucks and $10, you know, shipping. And so I really didn't even compare prices, which I normally do. I say my word of advice is you always get 3 prices. Always make 3 comparisons, because there's always, or I shouldn't say always, but a lot of the time someone's cheaper. But you play that game too, is you kind of, you know, get what you pay for. So that said, I was always taught to do the hardest or most involved first. So let's dive into return fuel lines. So it's quite obvious we are going to remove the air cleaner. All right, so air filter housing removed. This is what we're left with. I'm sure most of you know, I have to assume most or all of you know what the return lines are, but for those who don't, they are here. And they connect from to all the injectors and feed back to that line that goes back to the tank there, loops over to here. It's basically a U, almost a loop. Is it a loop? I don't know. In true channel fashion, I've never done this before, so I had to watch a couple videos. It's mic proof. It's super easy. So you got your return line on top of, I believe this is the feed line. This is your line from the lift pump. This is your feed line that goes to your injection pump, and then line out over to here. If you don't know, but I'm sure most of you already do. So you got these caps with tits on them, and then your line, and there's just 2 O-rings in there. 5/8 wrench. We're going to loosen up these injector lines. And the videos I watched some people remove those isolator clamps, and there was another video where they didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen all these injectors. I'll bring them back in when I decide whether or not I have to remove those isolators. How about that? Does that sound good? Let me know. If it sounds bad, tell me. I'd like to hear it. Your feedback is the most important thing, and it is what keeps me motivated and going. I forgot to mention the reason we're doing this. If you watched a previous video, you know why. If you haven't, you can see how clean that cap is there. That's because that one was leaking after we drove this truck home. After I let out a big sigh and breathed on that one started leaking. I was going to run it and show you that they were leaking, but you're all smart enough to know what a leak looks like, and why run the truck and, you know, have extra heat billowing out of this thing as we're working on it. So I decided not to run it, but that is the reason we're doing these. Super common, as to my research, that these are guaranteed to leak. So I have all the injector lines undone, as you can see here and over there. And I did find something interesting. The one that was leaking initially, if you can see that there, it's got some blue thread tape on there. None of the rest do, which is bizarre because the injector line's a flared line. It's a metal to metal seal. So I'm not sure what someone was thinking by putting on thread seal there. Yeah, interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that one once we come apart. I did not go ahead and remove the isolators. So I already did this one, but all I'm doing is now taking a long flathead screwdriver, and I'm just putting it underneath these. I don't even know what these are called. Let me know what these, I'm calling them cups. I don't know what they're called. So I'm just going like this, and I'm just freeing that seal between the cup and there's 2 O-rings in here. And again, I'm just sticking the screwdriver under here, and I'm just freeing that up so we can remove them. So yeah, let's see if we have clearance. Oh yeah, that's great. So yeah, I don't think you need to see that. I'm gonna go along. And also, the two videos I watched, when you're building these, you build them on the bench all as like one loop here as a unit. So I'm going to take them off as such. I'm going to leave them all together to here, and I'm going to leave them all together all the way even up to the fuel filter housing. For O-ring removal, we're going to use this Swan Lake 66033 6-piece hook and pick set. Don't even know where I bought it. What do you think? Right angle or hook? Let's try this one. And we're just gonna come in and swoop and loop, and I guess I should get you in there a little bit. And kind of tough to do with one hand and trying to film, but see how hard these are. Okay, we swooped and hooked and we got it there, and I'm just gonna work it around, and we'll try the right angled one. Let's try this guy right here. Hook and crooked here. Yeah, I kind of do. Oh, we just broke it. I guess we could just break them off too. Not have any sort of finesse and look like we know what we're doing. All right, I need two hands. You know what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna remove all these O-rings from all 8 injectors, and we'll go from there. We've successfully removed all the O-rings. And honestly, this was the hardest part so far. These are really hard and flat and just basically wore out. And it was hard getting the pick behind there, and what I ended up doing is just kind of put a little cut in the O-ring with the pick and kind of grabbing it with my thumbnail, that little cut, and pulling it and just breaking it. That seemed to work well for me. Let me know how you do it. All right, let me get this opened up and laid out. The line just comes in a roll. I don't know if they give you enough for this piece that goes up to the fuel filter housing line. It actually comes off the top of the line. So let me get it laid out. Let me know how you cut it. I actually didn't pay attention to that part in the videos. I'm just going to use an old-fashioned razor knife. I thought I had a tubing cutter, sorry, but I can't find it. Oh, also this was interesting. Pulling this line off the back, you can just see it's crumbling in my hand. It's completely degraded. So yeah, it's good we're doing this.
Hey, that's great.
All right, anywho, let me get this laid out and we'll go from there. So here's our basic layout. I like laying stuff out. I'm pretty neat and organized. Here are cups. One thing to note on the cups, they are directional, obviously not only with the tits. I don't know what you want to call barbs. Let's call them barbs.
Barb.
Be clean. But if you look here, that size hole and that size hole, you can see on the inside there's like a lip. You want lip up, or smaller size hole, diameter hole up in the upward position. That's one thing you need to know. I don't know if they'll go on the other way. I just know that's what I saw in the video. So that's what I'm gonna relay to you fine folk out there in YouTube land. I got my O-rings in a dish, and I think you need to lube them. And I'm going to use, I know they have fancy lube. I'm going to use the plumber's lube, which you've seen me use before. I believe it's a silicone-based lube.
Lube it up.
It's for high heat, and it will not degrade your rubber. They call it old-fashioned plumber's grease. I think this will work perfectly for our application, and we will coat those in grease to get those ready to be applied to the injectors. So yeah, so we had clamps. Oh, here's another side note. These clamps, I know a lot of people poo-poo on these, but I like them. I think it's a nice finished end product. It's clean, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you get better all-around clamping force with one of these than you do with the threaded screw type. I think with the screw type you get more of an oblong and not an even, because you get that kind of flat where the screw goes through, where this is more of an even pressure around the hose. So I personally like them. Let me know, excuse me, in the comments what you think about them. So that's my thought on the clamps. There were enough clamps to do everything except the one up here that goes to our fuel filter housing line, barb. I will just reuse that one. Another side note, the copper washers, no clue. I have little to no experience with these engines. I'm sure most of you know what they are. To those who don't, they are the washers that go under the injectors. We're not removing injectors, so we're not going to use them, but we're going to save them for sure. So there's that. And I guess to go along with that, didn't know what this was, but I believe it's for resealing the filter housing. I believe you remove filter and then remove the actual threaded part of the filter, and there's O-rings under there and bolts and whatnot, and that would be for resealing the filter housing. Again, my motto is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We got no leaks up there. I don't believe we're sucking air up there. So we'll save on it and just leave it alone for now. That said, like I mentioned before, we're just gonna, these all fit. So we're just gonna, it's mic proof. We're just gonna go from here to there, make a cut, and just go right on down the line. Now obviously before you clamp all these, go to a nice flat surface, unlike what I have, and kind of give this a stretch and just make sure that these are all, going in the same direction, as flat as possible. They're not twisted, and adjust accordingly. We have our freshly greased O-rings ready to go, and also our lines. I just wanted to show you that right there. I also skimmed the inside of these with grease, the cups, making sure not to send too much into the holes inside. So let me get you set up here and we'll install the O-rings and then install these lines and go from there. All right, so mosquitoes are out. That's great. So I'm just gonna take an O-ring and we're gonna do the top O-ring first. Obviously being careful not to cut it on anything. Just take your time doing this. I don't know if you can see that, but there's one. And then the next one, we're just gonna roll over that one. If I'm getting that, I can't see the camera. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. We're just rolling it down over the other one. Trying very hard, being ever so careful not to cut it on anything. And there's one installed. Now let's try and put our line back on. Pull them over one at a time here. So far so good. Now you just kind of want to press them down until you feel the O-ring seat. I guess you can almost hear a pop too. Oh yeah. It's really obvious when they're seated. And there's one side done. This is almost enjoyable. Comfort level up on top of a high truck. Not easy, but one side done and on. All that's left is to throw the injector lines back on. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm not going to video it. It's the same procedure. Let me know what you guys use for, getting up and down. I just have a small wooden step ladder and knee pad on the radiator. And, hunched over this thing obviously isn't good for the back. I can already feel the burning, but we got to get it done. I have seen those new little ladder step stools. I don't know what you call it, but it goes up and over with like a little knee rest pad on top. Those are pretty slick. yeah, hope to get one of those someday. But again, let me know what you used to work up and over inside the engine bay. All right, before I start to ramble, let me get the other side done, and we'll go from there. So there you have it, one installed fuel line return kit. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being one of the easiest jobs you've ever done, 10 being call a real mechanic, this is a 1. If you know what end of the pick to pick up, you can do this. This is mic proof. This was almost enjoyable, other than being on top, you know, kneeling over the engine with the lower back pain. Other than that, this was almost enjoyable and fun. I actually liked this. As far as rating the kit goes, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. The only thing I would change is I wish there was actually extra hose. I had enough hose, and I ended up having enough clamps. Obviously, I don't know how to count. So my only complaint would be send an extra couple O-rings. It only had the exact number of O-rings, and I wish there were just a couple extra just in case, you know, you manhandle one and end up breaking it. But fortunately, we did not have that happen. So yeah, that's it for fuel line return kit. So before we fire this thing up and see if, you know, those two or any of them leak, we're going to move on to the other part of the project, and that's blower motor resistor, and potential wiring. Don't know if this is plug and play or not, but yeah, let me go grab parts. Oh, actually, we got to go put the hamster wheel on. That's straightforward. I'll show you in 2 seconds, and we'll go from there. All right, getting ready to install the new blower motor. I had to put on the hamster wheel, is what I call it. I know I already explained that. Height-wise, I don't know. You could move this a full 1.5 inches. So what I did, and I hate to assume that this one's right, but I just took a tape measure, measured from the plate, you know, that to the top of the wheel. Was 3 7/8, and then I just did the same thing over here. Took a measurement, 3 7/8. Did my set screw, already had Loctite on it, and boom, I'm gonna call that good. So that said, I'm gonna go get it installed the truck. It's 3 bolts. Not really sure you need to see me do it, and when I get it installed, I'll bring you back in. On a side note, here, the new blower motor did not come with a gasket, so I just took a razor knife and peeled the old one off, and I'm going to reuse it on the new one, and I'm going to call it better than nothing. I got the blower motor installed. You can see where those pegs fit into the notches of the housing, and you can see that one down there. It actually didn't fit. Now, the box got warped over the, you know, however old this truck is. It's old. 80, what is this thing, an 86? I don't even remember. 86, I think. But I had to take a round file. You can kind of see it there. Of course, it's not going to focus. Yeah, here we go. Anyways, I had to take a round file, open up those notches to get that to fit. That was first problem. Second problem, if you look at these resistors, you'll notice that one has a corner cut out of it. This one does not. This one has an extra connector. I'm assuming, oh God, the focus, here we
Focus, motherfucker! Focus!
we go. I don't know if that was there and rotted off or didn't, but it only had the one plug. And if you can see down in here, it's actually, the corners are raised. There it goes, where it actually fits in there. So I'm just gonna have, I marked it, and I'm just gonna, God damn focus, cut that corner off to make it fit. So I'll do that and get that installed. There was no gasket on the old one, no gasket on the new one. I feel like it should have a gasket, but we don't have one, so, and I'm not gooping it, so that's it all done. All right, resistors installed. As you can see, I also had to notch the top of it to get it to fit in those raised corners, but it's in and plugged in. Now, on the blower motor, you're going, wait a minute, why didn't you use the connector supplied in the bag that I saw before? And there's a good reason for that. You see these wires are color-coded. Not coated, coded. Not like code as in raincoat, but coded as in like, you know what I'm saying. Don't go by those colors. You know, maybe someone had a bad day at the, you know, factory and just decided to put the wires where they wanted. What's interesting enough, on factory side, both wires are orange and black, but just kind of a different pattern or a different shade of orange. I don't know. Or I don't know if that's spray paint. I don't know what's going on here. But I originally had those reversed. And I think what happens is just by switching those, you reverse the polarity and change the motor direction. Well, anyways, long story short, I barely understand electricity theory and everything. Electricity and wiring is my least knowledgeable. Not that I have a lot of knowledge, but I'm least knowledgeable on wiring. I can do the basics, but I don't know how everything works, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I originally had it swapped, and when we turned the fan on, well, we had nothing because we had a blown fuse. It's supposed to be a 30. There was a 20 in it, and all I have is 20. I don't have a 30, so we put a 20 in it. Tested it. It tested good. Key on, and let's see. We have blower again, and it's blowing pretty good. You know what else I noticed in this truck that I didn't notice when I buy it? There's no vents. There's no vents to blow in your face. I thought, you know, I can't remember if I've ever been in a vehicle that had no panel vents. I don't know what you call them. In your face vents. They're just not. They don't exist. You get defrost or you get, you know, heat. And they both work. Anyway, what I was saying is when I had the wire swapped, I had no flow. I could feel it, but it was barely anything. And I'm glad I watched that video the other day. It wasn't on the subject. It just, look at all the crap blowing out of here. But they happened to mention it. They were replacing a blower motor, and they go, oh, by the way, ignore the wires. And I'm glad I saw it. Because, yeah. But now, blower motor is working. So, let me go ahead and let me just put that connector on, and hopefully it fits. We'll see if it fits first before we clip in the wires. Sorry about the sun glare. And that's all set. And the only thing left to do is start this up and see if we have any leaks. So let's go ahead and do all those things. Oh, the other thing we did, and I didn't put it on camera, if you watched previous video, our door handle roller upper 2000 was stripped out, so we bought this one off of eBay, and I think it was $8 straight off the boat from China. And it's too bad because I wanted to show it. There was a piece of plating that they didn't finish filing off that was sticking in there, and I really wanted to gripe about it and say, you know, quality in 2024. But it must have fallen out. But it does the job, it works, and honestly, I can't complain. I think it was $8. So it's like $8.09. It was some weird place. But now we can, you know, roll the window up and down. And it was hot in here earlier, and I wanted to roll the window down, so I just threw it on. So there's that. All right, where was I? Let's get the connector on, get this thing fired up, see if we have any if we have any leaks. So I fired the truck up, and it stumbled, obviously, because there was air in it. It didn't die, it kept running, but as you can see there, the one that was in question that had some blue thread goop on it immediately started leaking. So what I think is going on is, and I don't know if you can see this on camera, but that nut for our flared injector line is crooked compared to the other one on the left that is completely straight. So my theory is someone cross-threaded those threads on the injector itself, tried to either re-thread it or use some thread stuff, not knowing that it was, you know, a flared line and it's a metal on metal seal. But what I think's happening is we're putting pressure more on looks like the right side, and that's why it's leaking, because we're not completely sealing that flare. So at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I'm praying that that threaded cap for the line is not cross-threaded. We're going to remove the injector, and I'm going to attempt to rethread it, and if I can't get it perfectly straight, I should. So the Diesel Logic they sell rebuilt injectors. You can buy them in single for $60. So I should just order an injector. I haven't even tried my local parts store. I suppose I should start there first to see what they have, but I don't know if it's even worth trying to rethread that. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. None of the others appear to be leaking at this point, so yeah, let's just pull the injector out and go from there. So par for the course, I was interrupted and got a phone call. Said, hey, the car was getting louder. I said, okay, I'll look at it when I can. And then I got another phone call. Hey, I put the car in reverse and the car just got really loud. All right, here we go. So yeah, I'm going to show you what I found quick. I'm not going to video the whole thing, but let's get under here. What we have is a 2015 Nissan Pathfinder SE V6. Awful vehicle, especially if you know these cars. It has the awful transmission that fails. CVT transmission fails. It's going to fail. This one does do the stutter. On a little side note, I found what we used to call hope in a bottle. It's some kind of fancy potion you put in the transmission to keep it from shuddering. And it actually worked for a while. I couldn't believe it, but it actually helped. So if you have one of these cars and it's doing the transmission stutter and you want to, you know, put a Band-Aid on it for now, I forget what the name of the product is. It's some kind of CVT additive, and it actually does work, per my experience. But anywho, so as far as car getting loud, we have this, I can't really call it a Y pipe. I don't know. Well, we can almost call it a Y-ish pipe with the third cat in the back. So I was just gonna buy a new one. Online you can get some K-Pax thing kit for $114, but I need one now. I'm supposed to go look at a vehicle this afternoon, and went to my local CarQuest. $565 they wanted for this pipe, and then I don't know how many days away it was. Online that K-Pax is $114. I then went to O'Reilly's, same deal, $500. They would have done it for like $347 under, you know, commerce, you know, account. But unfortunately, I can't warrant that. The car needs tires, needs rear brakes, and the transmission is failing. And you know that when you go to put another transmission in, you got to buy the same exact transmission that's going to fail again. In my opinion, these transmissions should be recalled. That's it, all done. They're an engineering flaw, fiasco in my brain, and whatever. So let me go show you the exhaust failure, or failures. So when I initially looked at this thing, I thought for sure it's got this weird, let's see if I can get you in here, this weird half-flat squished pipe. And I heard it in this area, and I thought for sure it was going to be the pipe next to these welds that had weakened the pipe and that usually fail around the weld. Well, I was able to drop the pipe, and amazingly the nuts came off, but in the process it broke the flange off that pipe. So we got to clean that up and, you know, by some miracle weld that flange back in place to that really dirty, rotted pipe. But then I was able to pry that heat shield up, and you can see there, wow, underneath the shield, heat shield, was this thicker piece of steel, like a locked door or window. And if you know what this is all about, let me know why this is there. But yeah, that was sitting under the heat shield, and yeah, I would say that would make it pretty loud. So we're just gonna attempt to clean all this up and weld this door or window that came unlocked. We're gonna lock it back in, and then hope and pray, and then attempt to weld the flange on and put it back together. Not gonna film it all. Oh, this hanger, you know, bracket, those two bolts amazingly came right out. But yeah, we're gonna see if we can get away with a lot today instead of spending, you know, $500 or waiting, you know, a week for a really cheap one. So yeah, that's that mission for right this second. Just thought I'd share it with you. Please wish me luck. I did go ahead and disconnect the battery so we don't fry the computer in the off chance while we're welding. I know it's rare, but better safe than sorry. But when I do have to replace this pipe, Nissan thought it'd be a great idea to make that a threaded connection. So instead of a nut and bolt that's threaded into the flange, and you know those are already round. So I don't have torches, and the odds of getting those out are slim to none. Love engineers. Nut and bolt would have been great, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Now I know what you're thinking. Just like factory. Nope. Super thin, obvious to the most casual observer, dirty metal, and I'm using a gasless flux core welder. And I'm not really a welder. I just play one on the TV. But I think we got all the holes sealed up. So I'll hang this back up, wrap a clamp around the heat shield because it's still pretty well attached to the other side, and I don't feel like cutting it. And then we're going to attempt to weld the flange back on. Wish me luck. As you can see, there was really nothing for the flange to weld to, so I just made up these tabs and just stuck them on quick. That flange is stainless, so I'm not sure how much penetration I got. I know stainless is a bit of a prick to weld, and I just have, you know, what I told you I have. So hopefully this works. We're going to put it back together, and we'll see how loud it is. So it sounds like we've vastly improved the exhaust, but wait a minute. We haven't really. Let's go down below. Yeah, that's better. So flange worked out. That's holding, but something in here. Not bad. You can hear it there. Still got quite a leak. Now, I'm not sure what happened. I thought I got most of the holes, and that's a pretty significant leak. The only other thing I'm thinking is where that bracket was welded up top. I never checked the other side. There was a pinhole in the bracket that I could see on my side, but I didn't check the other side, so I'm thinking that's where it's coming from. But unfortunately now, and I'm not going to crawl back in there because after almost 3 hours and contorting my body like in The Exorcist, I'm done. So problem now, if I want to drop that back down, is those studs on that rear flange are welded, and we, you know, welded the flange back in place. So long story short, for us to drop that front pipe, we would have to drop the back half of the exhaust to sneak those studs out. And I'm not going to do that. So it's 10% quieter. So we gave it our best. I'm thinking I didn't double check all the spots around that welded hanger. Or maybe I missed a spot welding, but it's pretty significant. So yeah, I'm going to put my tail between my legs. Oh, back to the truck. It's days later, and we got our new injector in. Happy Marathon Monday to everyone. They're identical, except for, you know, the thread issue. A couple comments on this new injector. There's nothing stamped into it. It is a rebuilt. I believe it was $60 for the rebuild. It's a $50 core on the old one. Barring any imperfections or faults, I don't know if that's going to pass muster. And I don't know if I'm going to get my core charged, but it is what it is, I guess, at this point. The new one only came with one O-ring. Not sure why, if that's a mistake on their part. I think my only complaint, it actually arrived early, which I'm super excited about. My only complaint was you got to return the core. When I checked out, it wanted me to ship the core before they even ship the new one out. There's 3 options in there. I didn't remember picking an option, maybe my fault. But anyways, I emailed them. They immediately called me back, which the service was great. I changed it, paid the $50 so I could get this thing on its way here. But my only complaint, they don't give a return label. It looks like I have to make my own label and pay to have it shipped back to them, which I don't know. I don't really agree with, but again, it is what it is. That said, we are going to get this new one installed and hope and pray for me that the fuel line cap is not cross-threaded like this. Because if it is, we're going to be in trouble, and then now we're into trying to find a fuel line, a single fuel line, or you probably have to buy all of them. I don't even know. Never been down this road before, so yeah, let's one step at a time, get this installed. Looked up torque spec. It's all just forums. I saw 33, 35. It was a bear to get out, but keeping in mind this appears to be the original injector, but everything was like 33 or 35. If you know any different, please leave a comment, and yeah, let's get it done. Also, according to the onlines, everyone said to use anti-seize on the threads, and I'm also going to use some of this grease to keep the copper washer on and from falling off as I try to jam it in the hole. So yeah, let's do it. I don't know, 35 doesn't seem like much at all. I want a little extra just for prosperity. All right, you've seen me put the lines on already, so let me get that buttoned up. Let me see if that line's gonna go back on there. If not, I'll bring you back in. Well, good news and bad news. The good news is that line threaded on just like butter. The bad news, you can see it's still leaking profusely. When I had the line off before, I know the flare itself had a real ridge on it that I could catch my nail on it. I did file that off. It's like someone super crushed it, or just from vibrations it wore a ridge into the flare itself. So, and like I said, I did file that ridge off, hoping that would help with the seal. But obviously it didn't. So now what? Now what is the big question. I don't know what these are supposed to be torqued to. I guess I'm gonna look that up next. I wouldn't think it's that much, because all the rest are not leaking, and I didn't use all the torques. I didn't gorilla them, is what I usually like to say. So I'm gonna say that flare is probably suspect. So do I reflare it? Is it just a simple double flare? I'm gonna have to do some research. So I obviously couldn't talk over this loud old diesel, but just got lucky. So I took the line back off, and I noticed that just the line was slightly tweaked, I don't know, to the left or to the right. And I just put a wrench on the cap and gave it a tweak and just tightened it up, and that was it. No more leaks. It's been running for 10, 15 minutes now and nothing. And boy, did I do the happy dance, because I did not want to take that line off. I did not want to mess with the flare anymore. I did not want to try and find a single fuel line, if you can even get them. But yeah, I don't know these engines enough. Are the flares that sensitive? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking whoever bunged up the threads just tried to gorilla this fuel line on, and just bent it and tweaked it and did everything wrong. So I am just ecstatic.
I'm glad.
Anywho, can't revel that in too long. Wallow in that for too long.
I was free to wallow in my own crapulence.
Because we still have this wiper motor plug that just rotted off. So I was trying to find a pigtail for this, and I cannot. It seems to be unobtainium. As you know, with these old clips, they're kind of single use. Touch them once, especially after 40 years, and you know, that happens, which is fine. It would stay on, but like I said, it was just super corroded. The rest don't seem too bad, and I can't find a pigtail. if you go, I found a cool website recommended on a forum, excuse me. It's fordservicecontent.com. Once again, fordservicecontent.com. It shows you every Ford wiring connector under the planet. Unfortunately, after being on there for like 25 minutes, I couldn't find this one. Someone gave me the number 7199 or 07. I forget the number, what this comes up as. I couldn't find it in the list. And it's just pages and pages of Ford connectors from old to new. So if you know anything about this wiper motor plug, please let me know in the comments. I am going to try to depin it. I don't know. I have some pins that I used on the Dodge. So I'm hoping I have something that matches up. But first things first, let's try and get the old pin out. I did check for power. We have power on the red and power on the white. I'm assuming high-low. I don't know. I'm not a wiring guy. Electrical is well, it's all my weak points. I'm not really, you know. Return line kit done. Blower motor, resistor done. Window handle done. We're gonna try and fix this plug right now. We don't know if the wiper motor is frozen. It's probably no good. That's definitely one of those things that tend to fail after sitting for 5 years. And there's one other thing we got to get done back here. I don't know if you remember from the video, but yeah, it was this side. I'm pretty sure it was this side, or maybe it was that side. One of these blocks didn't exist. So I just, you know, crudely ripped up some 4x4 and jammed it in here. Whoever put this flatbed on, I'm gonna just hazard to say it wasn't a professional. I don't know what these extensions are. They put them for the light bar. It looks like they were welded to there, but then cut. It just, I don't know. I don't install truck bodies. But you got two-pieced wood over there. I'm not sure that is correct. I would hazard to say no. You got one U-bolt here and one U-bolt here. I'm more of like overkill, so I'm gonna say that's not enough. But you know, you let me know in the comments if you have experience with truck bodies and flatbeds. But point being back here is this one's totally loose and that one is just tight. As you can see, the U-bolts are in tough shape. They were longer, someone cut them. I've already, you know, doused them with lubricant, you know, half a dozen times. I don't have torches, unfortunately. I used to, and stupid me sold them in time of desperation. So I've heated them with the old plumber's propane torch and got nowhere. They did not move at all. I don't know if I should go grab some MAP gas. That's probably what I'm gonna do. I should just buy new U-bolts, but I'm cheap and lazy, and you know, I don't even know who makes them around here. But yeah, so that's the other thing we're gonna do. We gotta at least get these two rare U-bolts tight and go from there. This is the pin that came out of it. I knew right away I definitely didn't have this style. So I went to see what I had. Oh, this is corroded, broken. And this is what I had in stock. And it does fit inside the block. I did crimp it on there. I got these really cheap crimpers. You gotta have obviously this stuff is minuscule and you gotta kinda have to have quite a bit of patience. You'll drop it and curse and crimp it wrong, but that one went on nice and easy. So I'm just gonna jam that up into there. You can see the little locking tab that holds the pins in place. Well, as soon as I touched that one, it just disintegrated, broke off, and that was it. So like I said, this spade connector does fit in the block, and it also, more importantly, fits onto our connector there. So I think with a little finesse, as it's not going to hold in place, I'm going to kind of have to hold this while trying to get it on, while trying to get the other three on. I think we can make it work. So yeah, I'm going to try and get that on, and then we'll see if the wipers do, you know, what they're supposed to do. So I was able to jam that all back together. The motor says Motorcraft on it. It's sprayed with some kind of silver paint. Not sure why someone did that. There is a ground there, but I'm going to turn it on and show you what's going on. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it or not. Wait for the buzzer. So I don't know if you can hear that, but the switch is clicking, so I don't know if we have a bad connection behind here. And the wipers were working. Wants to work. So you can hear the motor there doing weird stuff. There's a ground up top there. So we got clicking at the motor and clicking at the switch. Which do you think it is? I don't know.
I'm completely clueless.
I'm leaning more towards switch because we have the windshield wash that's intermittently working too. Like I said, the wipers were moving on their own, albeit very slow. See if starting it, I don't think starting it's going to make any difference, but you never know. That's how, you know, trial and error. Let's turn the wipers on. No difference. Oh, look at that. She's turning. It's turning. Should I just go grab the impact? Oh, that's fantastic. I tried that with propane and it didn't move at all, but the MAP gas, I don't want to tell you what I just had to pay for that. Or I'll tell you, it was $70 for this setup. But it beats having to buy a set of torches. I'm amazed that worked, but you see it, you got the gist. I'm gonna go and do all four and get these tightened up, and that'll be another thing crossed off the list. So I determined I had 12 volts on that red wire, and when I plugged it in and turned the wiper motor on, the voltages were like all over the place. 3, 2, 1, 6, I think only got as high as 6. I did take the case off the wiper motor. I did clean that ground, part of the ground up there. I can't quite reach the other side of it there. But when I took the case off, it looked very clean and nice inside. It didn't look awful. So that said, I came inside and determined, here's the wiper switch plug. I determined that the clicking noise I think I mentioned earlier, it was the switch. So I tried to ohm it out unplugged. I don't think I was supposed to do that. I think I was supposed to try to ohm everything out with it plugged in. But when I unplugged it, the clicking stopped. Like I said, I tried to bench ohm it. And anyways, long story short, I just grabbed a new switch. It's kind of me just guessing. This was 35 bucks on Amazon. It took a week to get here, but let me plug it in and, you know, fingers crossed, it does the thing. The windshield wiper tried to move for a second. And if you can, obviously you can see that the washer is working intermittently. So it's basically doing the same exact thing it was doing before, except we had some more movement in the wiper. I can still hear clicking under the dash, so it wasn't the wiper switch that was clicking, there's something else. It's like we got a bad ground in my mind, like we're not getting full power, or we got a chewed wire, but I've gone through all the wires and I don't see anything obvious. As much as there was a ton of mouse house in here, they didn't touch the wires. So I don't know what's going on. Do I clean the other side of that ground? All right, I'm in deep. I cleaned whatever that was. You can see it's all shiny new. that was a double nut and it didn't come off, so I had to cut and redo that one. I cleaned the one up there. As you can see, I am in deep.
I'm in too deep.
Let me see if I can get the side angle. I believe those are called the brushes, and they look fairly worn. So as you can see, I took the case back off. It's kind of unscrewed. I don't know what this is. That the pickup, part of the pickup. It's got this pickup and that pickup, and this is kind of beyond me and my knowledge. So the copper part there was pretty, you know, dirty. I took some Scotch-Brite and I cleaned it up there. There's some rust on here. Let me know what these grooves are. It's got grooves in the bottoms, but not in the tops there. Both on that one, and then nothing on the bottom, and then grooves. I'm pretty sure this is the pickup. Is that what it is? Let me know. Grooves there, but not in the bottom. What do those grooves do? No grooves there at all. So anyway, I'm going to take some Scotch-Brite and clean this up. And it seemed like a screw, and it looks, I think I need grease for my finger. My pinky finger is there. That had a little bit of grease on it, but not much. Then that thing just kind of screws in. And do you screw it in all the way? Because I actually could, it wasn't really tight all the way. It was kind of in the middle. So yeah, let me clean this up, mess with these brushes, see if I can get these 3 brushes back in place, clean them up a bit, and see if it makes any difference. All right, we got it all back together. I re-cleaned the ground, like cleaned the case, greased the thing. It was pretty cool with those brushes back. They actually had little holders for the wires, so you could keep the brushes back while you put the pickup, magnet, it all back together. I don't know what else to do at this point. That's at this point, if this doesn't work, yeah, I don't know. Let's give it a try. Whew. It's more stressful when you have no idea what you're doing. All right, key on. Here's our switch dangling. Crossing my fingers. Turn. Oh, it's so hard to turn without the knob. And only one hand. All right, let's see if we can. Ready? Look at that. Look at that.
Exciting, it's so exciting.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, I don't know what to say. I do not know what to say. The wipers are working. Do we have high? Oh my God, we have high. It's struggling because the truck's not running, but we have wipers. Wow. I can't even. Can hear it? The windshield thing's running constantly. You gotta be kidding me. I don't even know what to say. Wow. Wow. I'm speechless. Absolutely speechless. I did not think for a second that would work. What's the old saying, super old saying? Come in smelling like shit, and you leave smelling like roses.
You stink.
I cannot believe that worked. I'm not sure which part I touched to make it work, but it doesn't matter. It just goes to show you, with a boatload of patience and time, we now do not have to pull this cowl off, which I don't even know. I see screws up in top there. Do you have to remove, you know, the window trim? You got to remove the wipers, not a big deal. And you got to throw more time and money at it. And I just didn't want to do it. And I just, again, I can't believe, I'm going to ramble. I earned rambling. Sorry, you can yell at me in the comments. I earned some rambling. I'm going to put it back together. Let's get the, you know, cowl bolted back down, and that useless, you know, this weather strip piece that's kind of perished at this point. Let's get that back in place. I got to figure out, I don't know which switch I have. Let's see. Yep, that's the new switch. So we'll return that for 35 bucks. Let me get the dash back together. And then, yeah, we'll start the truck, reconfirm that it works, and that'll be that. another round of successful installations and repairs. Now, if this truck was a 5-speed instead of a 4-speed, if I never had to leave town, if I had a working farm, which I really wish I did, if the state wasn't so strict on the rust issues, and most importantly, if money was no object, I would absolutely keep this truck. It's a good old girl. It's, in my opinion, very cool. It's a tank. I love driving it, and can't say enough about it. But unfortunately, it does not meet any of those criteria. So that said, this is probably going to be the last video on this as we move this forward to finance another project. So if you could just help me out by hitting the like and subscribe button and give me a fighting chance in a completely flooded market with an infinite number of people who are much more talented than I am, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. As always, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one, hopefully sooner than later.
That's all I have to say about that.